Hey guys, it's Karen. Welcome back to my channel. It's meal prep day. We're starting out with breakfast pizza. I already went ahead and logged everything in the Weight Watcher app because I wanted to get a feel of A, how many points I had used, but B, how many calories it is, because this seems to report things more accurately than the bariatric app that I was using. Example, it said a chicken leg was 67 grams of protein, and we all know that is not accurate. My day. Now I have a protein shake, a Built bar, an orange, and a cup of watermelon also added in here, so keep that in mind. But with all of that, along with the 2-ingredient dough pizza, the bean soup, and the chicken paella, that's clocking me in at 1,310 calories and 136 grams of protein. So if I decide not to have a Built bar or not to have a Premier protein shake, and I also remove the orange and watermelon off of today's menu, that's putting me a little over 900 calories. So with that being said, I already have the dough base in here. 2-ingredient dough is not exclusive to Weight Watchers or really anybody. I don't know who the creator was, but it's viral, and I'm gonna give exact measurements on this and also the bean soup. I'll make that decision for the chicken paella if I can find a recipe that is almost identical, that is not Weight Watchers. I'll go ahead and give that to you, and if not, I'll show you how to make it, but I won't give you exact measurements. This is a cup, 1 1/3 cup of self-rising flour, and a cup of zero-fat plain Greek yogurt. I do not know if this is going to be enough for 6 servings of what I'm wanting it to do. Maybe if you like thin crust pizza, I don't. I mean, I do, but not in this application. So I think this is a Los Gates, we shall see situation. We're all in this together. Also, I'm adding sea salt to this because it's pizza dough, and none of the recipes I saw on Weight Watchers did that, but like, it needs salt. Okay, those measurements make this amount of dough, and I've got a small hand. So we're gonna keep going. This might be a flop recipe. Okay, also I did the math, and this is 2.1 ounces of dough. Okay, change in plan because I have sensory issues, and this is gonna make my skin crawl. So we're gonna not individually meal prep it, and we're going to put it in a 9x9. So that's what we're gonna do, so that way I have to get this off my hands. Okay, a couple things. We're in a 9x9. I've got the oven preheating to 375. All the recipes that I've seen, they just straight up like bake it and put the toppings on and then let the residual heat do its work. I'm not doing that. So 375, I'm gonna put it in for 10 minutes, pull it out, put the toppings on, put it back in for an additional 8 minutes. Next ingredients are going to be, and I'll probably put a picture of all the ingredients before this segment, each segment, but 1.5 cups of liquid egg, a 1/2 ounce of fat-free skim milk. That's me taking Fairlife and doing this. I'm not measuring that. I put the whole bag of Mexican Fiesta reduced fat cheese, and then I also calculated like 30 Canadian bacon because I was gonna originally do this in individual vessels. I think 30 might be too much for the shape that I have to go in, so we'll try so that way I can not have to change this, but we'll see. I'm gonna scramble my eggs. Everybody should know how to scramble eggs, and if you don't, pan, heat, medium heat, not medium high, medium. Put egg in pan with some kind of lubricant so your egg doesn't stick. Agitate egg over heat until it becomes scrambled eggs. There you go. But I'm gonna go ahead and measure out the 1.5 cups of liquid eggs and get that scrambled. I'm gonna salt, pepper it, and put normal egg seasonings in. You flavor your eggs however your heart fancies. Once that's back and once the crust is done par baking, I'll go ahead and I'll assemble it, and then I will show you guys, put it in the oven for the additional 8 minutes, and then once it's all finished, I will probably insert a picture and tell you if it's bueno. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be bueno. So I was smacking a mosquito while I was pouring this, and looks like we're going with 2 1/3 cup of scrambled eggs. This is such a disaster. Thank you guys for hanging out with me while I attempt to figure out how to do this again. I've got the over medium heat. I did put 2 tablespoons of butter in there. I will say I don't think I'm gonna be buying egg beaters again, and the reason why is I just kind of find it a waste. Like, if you, I think using the egg whites, like the liquid eggs, because it's just egg whites with turmeric in it to make it color. Like that's why it's yellow. That's not. It's dyed anyway, or in the United States it is. So I could just crack a dozen eggs in there, and it would probably be less expensive. So, and I could remove some of the yolks from the dozen of eggs if it was really that big of a deal. To me, it's not. If you are hardcore on a calorie deficit, but that's fine for you. But also, I think had I used actual eggs, I wouldn't have dipped so low calorically, if that makes sense. Because now it's like, oh, Karen, you're in a calorie deficit, you're wanting to lose weight, and I'm like, yes, but eating 900 calories a day is starving yourself. And if you've had bariatric surgery, specifically a duodenal switch, you're only absorbing half of that, so that would be me intaking 450 calories essentially. So keep that in mind with when you meal prep. If you have a normal stomach, you probably need to add 500 more calories somewhere in there, whether it be snacks or you bulk up your meals more. But for me, I'm kind of in a unique situation because I only absorb half the calories that I eat. So it's just one of those things. And clearly I've been, off the rails, but 900 calories is too little. Par baked. So this has been in for, I think, 10 minutes. So once the scrambled eggs are done, I'll go ahead and I'll assemble it and show it to you guys. It smells good. I'm not gonna lie, it smells good. And if this works, this opens possibilities for me as far as like, I've made 2 ingredient dough before, but I always seem to forget about it. And this seems like a better option when I'm having pizza craving, if I don't want to do chicken crust pizza, so that way I'm not ordering Domino's. Okay, so I ended up putting it in for an additional 10 minutes, and I layered like the whole bag of cheese because the eggs were not going to stick to the crust. So I did a layer of cheese, a light layer, and then all the scrambled eggs, then another layer of cheese, put the Canadian bacon on, and then another layer of cheese. So I'm gonna let this cool, cut it, eat a piece, and come back and give you guys the verdict on if it's a yay or nay. And I'm gonna start making the soup, getting it in the crock pot, so it's just a dump and go. Okay, so voiceover Karen, this is me assembling the soup. In that measuring cup is approximately a cup of celery, a cup of carrots, and a small onion. That is 10 ounces of soaked, cleaned, and dried beans. Dumping that in. Make sure you soak your beans if you were using dried beans. So I'm waiting for the next clip to come so I can tell you what I'm doing. Then I'm adding a whole turkey leg, which I tried to remove the skin off of, and that is a full rope of smoked sausage, turkey sausage. And that's a can of Margaret Holmes seasoned mixed greens that I'm going to dump in. It is a big can. Look at the size of it. And then that is a can of Rotel that I drained the liquid from. It is also a big ass can. And then that is a 32-ounce carton container situation of chicken bone broth. I used the whole thing. You can see, it's still pouring. There's beefaroni in the background, being beef. I forgot the seasoning packet, so this is me adding it, and a ton of garlic. Cut myself a piece of pizza, and definitely par bake this, so that way you get a browned bottom. I kind of had a suspicion this was going to happen. It's not soggy yet, so I'll probably have to pop these in the air fryer in the morning when I heat them. But the egg whites contain a lot of moisture, so if you do decide to make this, you might just pre-make the crust and scrambled eggs and add on as you go. But that's a 10 out of 10. Definitely make this. It's good, dude. Okay, so I was gonna like just chop up the veggies and stuff for the paella, but I am going to be giving you like exact measurements because I'm combining a bunch of stuff. So inspiration came from the Weight Watchers one, protein coffee. But yeah, I'm not cooking my rice separately and then cooking my chicken, and that is so much work. I'm just gonna like one pot dump. So we'll figure out the liquid situation. So I figure this is 2 cups of rice, which I'm gonna right here. You hear it? It's the part of that goes into the Instant Pot. So I'm dumping the rice in there. I think what I'm gonna do is only do 1.5 cups of bone broth because the chicken that I'm going to put in it is going to give off some liquid, and then it's gonna have veggies in it. So I'm gonna shut up and then let voiceover Karen tell the rest. Okay, so I already went ahead and added 2 cups of rice. That is like 2 cups of peas because I YOLO'd. That is 2 tomatoes, and this is a small onion. I'm cutting up bell pepper right now, so I won't voice over this part, but I was just thinking as I was cutting this, have you guys seen on TikTok that woman that like carries around essentially like, she calls it her garden and she refers to herself as mother, and she always makes it a point to tell you how they don't use any kind of like food lube in their cooking, and she'll like take a piece of bell pepper and then she'll like that. Yeah, it's disgusting. Her produce that she puts in her food is like sometimes off and rotting, and like she clearly has disordered eating. And like whenever she says she puts salt in her food, like the container is clearly doesn't have the top is still on, like, and when she seasons the food, she doesn't put enough seasoning in it to make any kind of difference. Anyway, if you know who I'm talking about, let me know, because like her videos are disturbing. All right, back to cutting up this bell pepper. Okay, so voice over me again. That's garlic. I put a metric ton. Those are chicken thighs. I went ahead and already put 4 in there and froze the rest. And then that is bone broth. I went ahead and I put 2 cups in. And that is tomato paste. I put 2 tablespoons in. And I went ahead and added seasoning. I measured with my heart. If you're not sneezing when you're seasoning, you don't have enough seasoning unless you have some kind of aversion to it. And voice over me again. I'm just showing it. I've already mixed it. And I essentially looked up a bunch of slow cooker paella recipes online and just merged the spices and stuff. And I was not going to separate cook the rice and then just throw the chicken and vegetables in the paella. Is a rice dish that's typically like, it kind of defeats the purpose of it being a crock pot recipe if you're not dumping everything in the crock pot. That's frustrating. So I will figure out how much I put in there. With the seasonings, I actually ended up using smoked paprika instead of regular sweet paprika. Like 4 or 5 hours. You don't, like, guys, don't put chicken in a slow cooker for 8 hours. Once the rice is done in this and the temperature of the chicken is 165, it's done. Like, there's no need for y'all to be cooking your chicken in a crock pot for 8 hours. That's chicken jerky, friends. Be kind to yourselves. And I will try the paella on camera because I'll eat that for lunch. How does that sound? And if this is absolutely disgusting, that's cool. I bought sandwich stuff last week, so we'll make that work. And I also have freezer meals like Lean Cuisines just in case that I bought like a month ago. So hopefully this is a win and not a loss. We'll see. So it's like almost 2 o'clock and I did not eat this for lunch, the paella, because it wasn't done. There was an issue with my Instant Pot and it wasn't sealing and it wasn't cooking. I should have just busted out my other slow cooker instead of using the Instant Pot, so lesson learned. That's what it looks like. It's that's good. Anyway, like 80% of the rice is cooked because of what was going on with the Instant Pot. I should have just used the regular slow cooker, being completely honest. Anyway, that's bomb. And the rice, like, overall is almost completely cooked, but I'm also going to reheat this up in a hot logic. So it will finish cooking the rice that needs to be cooked. That's definitely a mix of it. Hey, you're in my kitchen cabinet, and the soup is done. I obviously can't, I made cornbread to go along with it. I'll insert a video right here what it looked like in the crock pot, because like I can't tip my bowl. Look how good that looks. I cannot wait to eat that. Oh my gosh. But I have tasted it and it slaps. So I'm gonna sit down and watch some Supernatural and get this uploaded. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week.